Eddie, how are you?
Is this Jack Mitchell? Jack, are you wanting to speak on any of this? All righty then. We'll begin the Parks and Recreation Subcommittee meeting this evening at 5:30. If the clerk could call the roll.
Chairman Mercier.
Here.
Counsel Conway. Counsel Leahy. Here. Two present.
Thank you. Let me just say that Councilor Conway is recuperating from knee surgery, so he is not here this evening. With us at the Parks Subcommittee is Henry Marchand, who is the Director of Cultural Affairs and Special Events. We have Andy Jacobson, he's the Board President of COOL. And we have Nancy Salvage, who's the designer and contractor of the design of the sculpture. So if we could begin with an overview as to what has transpired. I know because I have been in this from day one, so we do go back a long ways. And even on Monday, November 2nd, 2015 at 3 o'clock, we went to Point Park and it was now Utopian Park, and we had a ribbon cutting ceremony. And that was a while ago, so we're here this evening to see. We went through all the right procedure to do this, and now we're here to see if this is going to go any further, and if so, I'm sure it will. What are we looking to anticipate? Henry? You don't have any tricks up your sleeve, do you, Mr. Magician? Okay.
There we go. Hopefully we'll make a nice sculpture appear in a few months. This project, as you know, has been begun in about 2011 with the development of the park and plans. It moved forward. I think the park was dedicated in 2015.
Right.
And the sculpture itself was reviewed. An artist was selected, Nancy Salvage, and it was a bit larger project, and so the funding wasn't there at the time. So it went on a bit of a hiatus for a couple of years. In March, additional funding was found. The scope of the project was reduced a little bit. And since then, we've been working with Cool, who is the contractor, has the grant funds and funds to do this project, to move this forward and to get it completed. We were able to get extensions with the support from the city manager, from some of the grantees to July, extending those grants. And so we believe that with the budget that's been outlined, with some of the steps that we'll be taking, that we're ready to move forward and begin the project. This is a little bit of the history. I don't know if you want to go through this
Sure.
program here.
We'll go through with it.
Okay. This is
And may I just clarify, people get confused, is it utopia? Is it utopian? For the record, it is Utopian Park. People feel utopia when they think about it, but it's a utopian park, so with an A-N. I just want to clarify that. I'm sorry, go ahead, Henry.
That's fine. This is a sort of a concept design of the piece. It's stainless steel, and kind of the size and where it goes. There we go. A bit of the history we talked about began in 2013, 14, 15, and now it brings us to, I don't know if I'm pressing. There we go. So we have, we're now at this point, and sort of the current schedule is that we are currently just about ready to, and I'll let Cool speak to that, but February, March, we'll be looking at agreements and production starting. Our goal is to have it installed in June, by the end of June, with an unveiling and dedication in July timeframe.
So, Henry, when you say you're thinking of starting this process in June to have it installed in June, you think it'll be installed within a month?
No, the process now, we're just finalizing the agreement, so the fabrication will begin hopefully in the next couple of weeks. Those will be signed, so that'll happen between now and April, with footings in, once the construction season starts, to put the footings in for it as it's being fabricated. Then it will be transported and put on site.
When you say that you're looking to finalize an agreement, does that mean you're coming before the city council for an agreement, or are you doing that?
It's currently, Laura is working on a three-part agreement outlining the roles of the city. Cool is the contractor, and Nancy Selvage is the artist contracting the fabrication and installation.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
And these are the, basically the roles of each group, and that'll be outlined. Essentially, Cool will contract to have this fabricated and built. We'll provide the easements and the required permits to build it on our park. Once it's completed, the city would accept it as a gift and take ownership and continue maintenance of it over the years. And this is, again, another overview of the piece. So I'd like to turn it over to Andy Jacobson at this point, who, again, is president of Cool, has been instrumental in keeping this alive and moving it forward. And so we can talk a little bit more about the details and some of
Sure.
the Cool's history.
Thank you very much. Andy?
Hello, thank you. Yeah, so, I mean, Henry did a good job of, recapping most of what's going on right now. Yeah, I mean, right now, our goal is really, for funding reasons, is we really need to want to get this into, installed by the June, July timeframe with everything done before the funding sort of time period lapses. So in some of those, we don't feel that is going to be an issue once we get this into fabrication. So the fabrication process, just to give you an idea, is like about it's about a 12-week period. So it's about a 4-month period rather. And then during that time, other work is going to be done. Once the weather warms up, we're going to be able to start getting into some of to the ground and do some of the other construction work that's necessary in order to keep the timing and schedule moving along. And then once this is done, as Henry said, with the city and the fabricator, which is most likely going to be one that's based in Rhode Island. It was a former boat maker, and they've been doing public art over the really now is their new line of business. And the reason that this fabricator is being chosen is because of what they've done in boats and the curves that are necessary for this art piece. So all of that, once that's all done, 4 months, then we're going to get this, and it'll take us, we'll say, a couple of weeks for everything installed and all that. And and then again, working with the city, we will then get some grass in there, grass seeds, to really bring it together, and then have an unveiling hopefully towards the end of the summer.
So since you said that the scale has, the scope of the project has downscaled some, I'm under the impression, and I don't know that if I'm right, but I thought it at once would have been 30 feet. So what is it going to be now?
Initially, the goal was to have it tall enough to be seen from Thorndike Street on the way into the historic district.
Yep.
And so the initial proposal was to have it 21 feet high. And in addition, the city was interested in having an interactive element that could engage children who might be playing in the park. So the initial piece was 21 feet high and 40 feet long. In order to make it cheaper to build and to have it fit within the amount of money that had been raised, it's now 3/4 scale. It's 16 feet high and 30 feet long, and the structural elements have been modified, so there's more triangulation to make it cheaper to build.
Okay, sure.
And Rita, there's just on the very last page, I don't know if you want to bring it up, we have an elevation view still, so that you'd be able to see what you'd see how you'd be able to see it through Thorndike. So it's still got some height to it that it will be able to be seen.
And with the reconfiguration and rebuilding of Thorndike Street, that'll bring that roadway up, which will now be looking down on it. So in looking at the elevations, it'll be very visible from the roadway as you enter the city, the gateway to the city.
Do we have any idea about the funding? Can we just go over that? Because I didn't hear you mention that, but that's important as well.
Yeah, so, so right now we have principally 5 main funders for this. Parker Foundation being one of them, the Greater Lowell Community Foundation. That was sort of the additional money that we were able to raise. It's been put into the Greater Lowell Community Foundation to be held until we need it. Then you have both National Endowments for the Arts and then the New England Foundation for the Arts. And then the last is we have a community development block grant as well.
For a total of $194,000.
That is correct, yes.
And that should be the cost to cover this sculpture?
For the fabrication, installation, and all that, yes. We are also, looking for some additional money that, it doesn't necessarily have to impact the installation bit, that we can then maybe down the road use for lighting and some improvements. Sure. Because we would like to have some lighting on that.
Yeah, lighting would be great.
Right, so
Wouldn't it be nice if there was a light on the top of it? But anyways.
Yeah, so there is lighting at the park already,
Yes.
but we are looking to try to see if we can secure some money as we're continuously moving towards this end goal, so that may, hopefully, we can coincide with it. But we're also going to be working, I believe, with the city to maybe put and run a conduit down there, so even if the lighting money and lighting hasn't been decided and determined until it's really up, and so we can really play around with it, we would have the infrastructure there in place that will make it a little bit easier.
That'll be wonderful. John, Councilor Leahy?
Thank you. So it's going to be stainless steel, you're saying?
Yes.
So it'll be like a shiny silvery color or
Yes, it's not going to be a
Brushed?
polished stainless steel, so it won't be highly reflective, but it'll be smooth and bright.
Okay. And when they fabricate it, it'll come in many parts and they'll assemble it on site?
Yes, it's too large to be moved in one piece, so there are 6 different sections that will be transported on site, and the fabricator will come on site to complete the fabrication by bolting it in place and welding each section together.
And obviously, like at the end part where people sit and kids are running through it, it's obviously very smooth, there's no
Right,
sharp
right.
edges or anything like
Yes,
that, right?
no, no.
Okay. All right, and it's being fabricated in Rhode Island?
That's correct, yep.
Okay, all right. I haven't been over there in a while. Is the walkway all set, or are we starting this from scratch? Is there a walkway around?
No, there is a walkway along the
Yeah.
canal. It goes out to the point and back.
Yeah.
It meets up near Canal Street by Jackson Street.
Yeah.
Comes around the piece and is directly across from the courthouse. There's some landscaping already in place that was done with the park. Some of that we'll be working on. We'll be working on with the Parks Department and trying to, as we move forward with the piece in place that's going to disturb some of that,
Yeah.
reset it and make some improvements.
All right,
That's wonderful.
yeah, no, that's great.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, thank you, yep.
So I want the public that are watching to know a little bit about you, Nancy. Are you the artist, the designer of this beautiful sculpture?
Yes, I am.
Oh, wow. So that's nice. And so what does that signify to you?
Well, I was very interested in this commission when it was first announced 5+ years ago. And I was particularly interested in the unique quality of the site and the history of Lowell, so I wanted to make a sculpture that celebrated the hydropower that had powered the mills on that historic site. And it's been a long but engaging process, and it's been an honor to work for a city that has art is the handmaiden of the good as its motto.
That's right. Art is the handmaid of human good. Let me say that when you look at this sculpture, this work of art, you see this steel cascading down, which probably signifies the canals, would you think?
Well, yes, I had gone to the boot factory and I had seen a turbine. They had an historic turbine there, and I had taken photographs of it and sort of blew it up. And so in my mind, I saw that sort of gateway, the solid gateway at the front of the sculpture, the tallest part of the sculpture, as reminiscent of the turbine, and then the rest of the form to suggest the flow that ran through the turbine, the sort of flow of the water and the tumbling of the water. My initial proposal had included a slide so children could experience the 13-foot drop in the water level, but that was a little problematic in terms of all sorts of liability for dealing with a park with a playground, so that is no longer part. It went through 4 or 5 design changes.
Well, the thought was there. I want to take this opportunity to thank each one of you for coming forward and sharing this evening with us so that we could know a little bit more about this beautiful project. I go back to 2011 when I brought up the motion originally from Newell Flathers, who asked me if I would do that. And I was happy to bring this motion forward. So I feel like it's like the birth of my child. So I'll be looking forward in July to see the culmination, the completion of this beautiful project. And I want to thank you so much. Thank you for all your dedication, your money. I mean, you're doing a remarkable job. And so I'm glad that we could find out this evening that the plans that are in place to continue on and have completion of this. So this is so wonderful. I wanted you to know that we're very grateful because the Hamilton Canal Project is our very new and latest project, and that just like puts the icing on the cake, so to speak. So we're just very grateful. So thank you very much for being here, and we'll see you in July. So thank you very much. I'll do a good report on this tonight.
Thank you
So
both as well.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anything further?
No, I'm good,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second. Thank you so much.